Welcome to the Autism on Screen Awards with Dimensions, and we are talking in this podcast about masking. These are our own ideas. Get in the comments and start voting and let us know if we're talking nonsense or whether we're getting it right. These characters aren't necessarily stated as spectrum, as we said, but the autistic community relates to them, particularly for masking. Masking is about trying to navigate in other communities and coping with sensory overload, which can be exhausting, and it contributes to low diagnosis, particularly in women and girls. Behind closed doors, we are often different. So I'm here with Logan and Chelsea, and here's a little bit about us before we get started. I'm Michelle Ribello. I'm autistic. I'm in the Involvement and Engagement Coordinator for Dimensions. I'm also an autism ambassador, and my book is called Life Will Never Be Dull. And I'm the mother of 3 autistic children.
Hello, I am one of said 3 autistic children. I am Logan, I am Michelle's son. I am a marketing assistant at Dimensions and a film editor, storyboard artist and animator for Autech, which is an organisation that makes films to help people visit new places.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. I'm autistic. I'm the Vice Chair of Dimensions Council and I'm a quality consultant for Dimensions. I am campaigning for better autism representation on screen.
So our first character that we're going to talk about is Dolores from Encanto. So Logan, what do you reckon about Dolores?
So this is an incredibly recent example. But I've seen a lot of forums on social media discussing whether or not Dolores from Encanto is indeed autistic. So Dolores, despite having very little screen time, is a very popular character in the Disney and Encanto fandom. There's lots of discussions around her. And the reason people think she might be on the spectrum is because of her sensitive hearing. The way that she speaks quietly, she has not a lot of eye contact, very skittish movements, anxiety filled. And yes, we are aware the reason she hears everything is because it's her superpower. But a lot of people on the spectrum still find that interesting regardless, they find it relatable. So let's watch a little clip of Dolores and see if we agree or disagree.
She was about to tell us about her super awesome gift!
Oh, Mirabel didn't get one. Oh, and Luisa. I heard her eye twitching all night.
There we go.
No one has to know.
I know.
She's gonna tell everyone. Avocado.
So wonderful clips of Dolores there. What's so wonderful about her, from my point of view, is she's so impulsive and she's absolutely bursting to talk. Now, we know this is because she knows everyone's secrets. We get that. But in certainly from my point of view, that absolute bursting need to say something when it's on your mind is so relatable.
A lot of people say that the little squeak that she makes when she talks is like a nervous tick. I can't really say for sure whether or not that's the creator's intentions, nor is it probably the creator's intention that she is autistic, but people still relate to her regardless. From what I've heard, the little squeak she makes is actually a Colombian cultural thing. But as she's the only character that does it, people have sort of singled her out in a way, and saying that maybe it's a nervous tick. A tick or not, it's still really cool to see that on screen, to see someone acting what is similar to a tick, because people can still look at it and be like, I do that.
I also find that when I have that impulsive thing, I'm like, oh, I need to tell someone, and someone will tell me, don't tell anyone, and then you've already told about 5 people. And that's the sort of feeling that I have as well when we do that sort of thing like Dolores does is impulsive, and I'm there going like, yeah.
Yeah, we're working very hard on this podcast because we all have lots to say, and we're trying to give each other the space to say it in. But we're all bursting with ideas and things to say. So yeah, we're masking right now. We're trying to make this sensible for the audience. What I find interesting is that she has really powerful hearing, so that makes her hearing really sensitive. So she speaks very quietly, and she's quite anxious in her movements, and hearing everything makes her anxious as well. And so I think, regardless of whether she's supposed to be autistic or not, what it's portraying is the impact of when sounds are too loud. And absolutely, that is just such a huge feature of the autistic experience. And when that happens, you know, it can be absolutely overwhelming. So to see that shown on screen to a younger audience is wonderful. Now we're going to go from very innocent and charming Dolores straight to a demon. And Chelsea, you're going to tell us about Anya from Buffy.
Anya is a 1,000-year-old demon, I think. And before she turns in the demon, because I remember things a little bit, I remember the clip saying two things, saying that she's a bit of an outcast back then. So yeah, she can be very blunt as well.
So let's have a look at Anya.
You know, you can laugh, but I have witnessed a millennium of treachery and oppression from the males of the species, and I have nothing but contempt for the whole libidinous lot of them.
Then why are you talking to me?
I don't have a date for the prom.
If you don't know how I feel about
I don't. This isn't a relationship. You don't need me. All you care about is lots of orgasms. I like you. You're funny and you're nicely shaped, and frankly, it's ludicrous to have these interlocking bodies and not interlock. Please remove your clothing now.
Wow, what a contrast in Anya. She's absolutely hilarious. I love I love the very intimate scene preceding sex when she's calling it interlocking. That's hilarious.
She just has no filter on her whatsoever. You know, she's just like, men are terrible. Will you go out with me? Talking to a man.
And yeah, another character, not autistic as far as we know, but just we can relate so much. She's just so blunt. She's very confident in her abilities, but she feels out of place sometimes, but also it's okay.
Chelsea, would you agree that Anya is not really a villain, but not exactly on the good side either?
Isn't it called an anti-hero sort of thing as well?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, like Hollywood, give us more autistic villains. You know, we're tired of being the savants, you know. Give us like an autistic Bond villain. I would love to see that. Like just you know, stereotypical, but just imagining them like organizing all the plans. I just like, okay, the bomb has to go off here, which means we have to be here, and if anyone's here, y'all are gonna die. So don't be there. Like, I don't know, I'd love that, and I love her attitude. Azula didn't make this list. Some people say she's autistic. She's also a villain. And you know, I'd love that. I want more autistic villains. Give us more autistic villains.
Yeah, and just with someone in the background, just making sure, you know, everything. They've like checked themselves and stuff. Like, have you ate anything? No, I was hyper focusing on this work.
Have you eaten today? No, I was trying to destroy the world. I have my priorities. Okay.
All right, so from a super villain to a super lovable character, Jess from New Girl. She is one of my favorites. Again, we're not told she's autistic, but oh my gosh, she just resonates so much with us. I wanted her on the list because for me she is quirky, eccentric, lovable, totally awkward, sings in random places, and she's completely creative. I love that what's in her head comes straight out, whether it's singing or the wrong words or whatever she's thinking, it comes straight out, and with, like you said, Logan, with no filter, and that just I've been in many a situation like that. She's also incredibly creative. She has a huge imagination, and she can think her way through the situations that she gets into. showing autism in a different light, another girl as well. So let's have a look at Jess.
Fun, hanging with the dudes, eating ice cream, watching scary movies.
We're not scared, we're dudes.
You know what we should watch? Have you guys ever seen Fame? It's about a group of dreamers with talent to spare, taking New York City by storm, one dance number at a time. The cafeteria, the street. Oh, that's so much blood spurting.
I love Jess so much. She's just so much fun. But in that scene, she was just completely ruining Guy's film night, with constantly talking about the film, and then it's giving her ideas of other films that she thinks it would be great to watch together. And
sometimes you pick up on them, don't you, a little bit, and when one of them is like that with like a struggle, you're like, oh yeah, I relate to that sort of thing, like the social misunderstanding or something, or trying to figure out stuff.
When she tried to eat her ice cream quietly, I'm like, ice cream's already quiet. And the little face she gives, that, actually I can really relate to that face she gives, because I often go on long monologues about things of my personal interests, and sometimes at inappropriate times people will sort of politely tell me to shut up, and I will just like sort of wind in my eyes and move my shoulders up like,
okay, our last character is Amelie from the film Amelie. And Logan, tell us about Amelie.
So I find with French movies as a whole, the artistic ones, and they have a very certain sort of style to it, which really sort of suits portraying a character like this, who has her own creative mind, that just sort of wanders off and does its own thing. She's incredibly smart, and the film really goes into details about the sensory side. It describes the sound she likes, the feelings that she likes, and it's not just a one-off scene. It really goes into detail about how this really makes her feel and how much she enjoys it and how much she loves to analyze people. So we're going to watch a clip of Amélie now.
Parfois, le vendredi soir, Amélie va au cinéma.
J'aime bien me retourner dans le noir et contempler le visage des autres spectateurs.
Au premier qui arrive au bout de la passerelle.
Puis j'aime bien repérer le petit détail que personne ne verra jamais. Par contre, j'aime pas dans les vieux films américains quand les conducteurs regardent pas la route.
En revanche, elle cultive un goût particulier pour les tout petits plaisirs. Plonger la main au plus profond d'un sac de grains. Briser la croûte des crèmes brûlées avec la pointe de la petite cuillère.
I can really see why this film is so popular. I remember when I had French lessons back in primary school, my teacher had a picture of Amélie, and it was this cute little photo of her holding up a spoon, because she was just happy with how, I can't remember what she was eating, it's some kind of crunchy yogurt. She was happy with how it felt. She was like proud of herself, like, yeah, have that. Sometimes the simple joys in life is all you need, but this film has inspired countless of directors, French directors, English directors. It's been so popular with wide audiences outside of France, and I can really understand why. It's such an endearing, light-hearted film that I think everyone should watch at least once.
Yeah, I love that she's talking to us, so she's really telling us what's going on, and perhaps that makes it easier for us watching it, but she's really letting us inside her world. So in terms of portrayal, it's lovely to hear this voice of hers saying exactly what makes her tick, exactly what she thinks. And in the film, you see how much of a great judge of character she is, because she spends all of her time watching other people and seeing what makes them tick.
I just wanted to say I like how she says that she notices the driver doesn't always look where they're driving, and it's a very known bit. where drivers always look away and that thing, and they're not focusing on the road when they should be.
That annoys me too.
Yeah, that really annoys me. It takes me out of the scene because now I don't believe they're really driving, and it just makes me think of how silly that is. So it takes me out of the film when I see silly stuff like that.
As much as the film likes to talk and explain things from her point of view, it also doesn't talk down to its audience, and it knows when to stop talking. You know, when a scene plays, they really let the scene just drag out, and it lets the audience take in the sight. You know, it knows when it's appropriate to explain things and when it doesn't, which so many American films fail to do. So I really like that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's easy for us to watch because we're taking our time. She's telling us what she's thinking. We're getting to watch it with some space, with some time to take in the whole scene. It's not being explained to us all the way through.
I think if we changed how films are portrayed about autistic people, I think it would be good to do the bits where they are trying to look like they're fitting in with society on the outside of their homes, and then when they come in you see those things like when they come back and they're in their homes just like fidgeting or vocalizing little tics or vocalization or repeating little things they've said. And I think that would be a better way of seeing how we do how we are like behind closed doors, and then how you put on that society type mask of fitting in with the world when you leave, and how that affects. Just let them lie on the sofa for about 2 hours recovering.
Okay, so 4 brilliant characters in our masking category. If you agree with us or if you don't, get voting and get in the comments and let us know who we should put in here as well. Because this is our first time of doing this for Autism Acceptance Week, and we've been having great fun talking about these characters, and would love to see what you think too.